YouTube, how the heck you doing? This is Queer Earth Watcher Realms. We went against Solo Hard, which I've never gone against them before, so I'm not exactly sure like where they are on the totem pole of Overlord guilds. But we're just gonna go ahead and get kind of straight into it. We did a 4-1. I'm not exactly sure what this was, but I guess we'll go ahead and see what it was. The first one is going to be a Ingrid team with Wukong. I know they're running a decent amount of these. I'm not necessarily sure why, but I guess they're just running it because the idea is that Ingrid's going to kind of snipe down this little corridor over here. But yeah, there are other teams that are a little bit more efficient, especially if you're thinking about like the Paredes teams that kind of implore a similar example for this. But I understand the Wukong. Kind of the whole point of using Wukong in this composition is because if everything goes well in terms of timing, you would hope that Ingrid would actually take out all the adjacent demons that are a little bit lower HP, and then Wukong would go ahead and use his ultimate, effectively one-shotting the Grotesque Fiend on the second rotation. But as it stands, that's not necessarily what happens here. We're able to go ahead and pretty much build up a perfect stacked Grotesque Fiend because all those units die, and then all these spiders over here, they're going to die subsequently behind the Grotesque Fiend, basically fully stacking him up. One other thing to note here is that they are using a Lily. Obviously, Carnelian would be better, Airless would be better, but as it stands, I guess maybe they don't have those particular units. So our Grotesque Fiend pretty much dispatches of the Brokir right around now. And goodbye. And once that happens, we're in a really good position to just essentially go ahead and win. One of the things that's important is whenever Ingrid goes and swaps into her single target mode, she can get into a lockout state when she hits to those 5 stacks. But in this case, that doesn't necessarily happen. She swaps over into the 1 stack mode. The 1 stack where she's doing her AoE. And then she's almost forced to swap again. And so she never gets into a position where she's in that overloaded state, dealing a substantial amount of damage. Now, obviously, that's to our benefit, but it really is the detriment of just the fact that if you're able to constantly swap Ingrid over and she's not able to gain those stacks, she's just really far behind in terms of overall damage output and threat. Mind you, the whole reason as why A3 Ingrid is such a problem is because she gets that stellar shower or the stellar overload, where she's doing like a massive amount of damage every other hit once she's A3. You're able to just prevent her from even getting to the 5 stacks. She's pretty useless, genuinely speaking. So just proper Ingrid juggling in that particular one. The next attack, I'm not exactly sure what this is. Okay, so I saw them do a lot of this, and this might be the main topic of the video actually. Let's slow this down. So here is what they do. They have Beelzebub here. One of the things that is really bad about putting Beelzebub on this particular tile, and I'm going to do my video series on like where to place your units and blah 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 and the best teams and blah blah blah. I promise I will. I'll get to it this weekend, I promise you. But basically what happens is Beelzebub is going to go and trigger his ultimate here. What happens is he's going to send this little orb and it's going to hit the fool and force him here. What they don't realize is all these bugs are also going to stack up here and give me the perfect timing for the Grotesque Fiend. So Wukong ults, he takes out one of the bugs. Mind you, I am totally fine with that because I have all these other bugs that are stacking up here, giving the Grotesque Fiend the perfect amount of strength from them dying adjacent to him to where it doesn't even matter, right? So the whole Beelzebub pulling units actually worked in my favor because otherwise, right, my Grotesque Fiend would have came down and he would have had more damage dealt to him because the Fool wouldn't have been in perfect position. The Fool would have actually gone ahead and put the shield on one of the bugs, and then the bugs would die, and then the Fool would have been late to put the shield on the Grotesque Fiend. But as it stands, we're basically in a perfect position here to where the Grotesque Fiend gets max stacks, takes out the tank, takes out the Wukong, and from here, it's really a simple win. And it all comes down to just one very fundamental thing. Beelzebub. The Beelzebub pull basically set all this in motion and made it a really comfortable win, all things considered. Mind you, if this Grotesque Fiend died, I would have been fine because I would have this other setup already being initiated. Now, as it stands, Ingra is just kind of free hitting here, but I'm not genuinely concerned at all because what's going to happen is she's going to be forced to swap over. And once she's in that single target mode, I don't have to worry about my dogs dying here because she's going to swap over to AoE mode right about now. Do a hit, that's fine. We tanked it. There was no danger whatsoever. And once you get past this little corridor, we're genuinely in a perfect position to just win. So it really just comes down to the Beelzebub. The Beelzebub is what set all that in motion there. Just kind of really messed with the timings and where things would be placed, where it didn't really have a negative impact on us. It actually helped us. Now, the next team I remember, this is a failed bombing run. I am the worst at bombing strategies. I don't know why. I just can't do it to save my life. I am the worst at it. Can't do it. But basically, this is kind of the team comp. In theory, what happens is this is a pretty anti-Grotesque Fiend comp. Reason being is Nezha is just going to perma-stun the Grotesque Fiend. And then Boreas has the unique ability to, provide anti-heal. So the second the Grotesque Fiend procs his passive, there's a really good shot that Boreas is ulting it, and so it doesn't heal. So that's kind of like one of the recent answers to the Grotesque Fiend meta. Boreas. Just a heads up. If you haven't noticed it, pretty annoying. When he ults in cycle with the Grotesque Fiend that's about to go ahead and heal. It's kind of devastating. So we go ahead, we drop the Necro, not a Necro, we drop the Ferroguard and the second Ferroguard. We drop the bugs. Now all this is kind of fine for the most part, but I actually dropped the bugs about like a second too early because what happens is, I'm willing to bet, yep, Nezha gets a perfect bounce and just takes all of them down. And then what happens is her final Lotus impact from her ultimate, it's this, 300% damage. That basically one-shot them. And that failed the run. It was literally like I dropped the units maybe like a second too early. And so they kind of fell into a Nezha stun and then a Nezha Lotus Flower like explosion. And so it was GG from there. Bad play on my end. But our dogs almost go ahead and take out the Nezha, right? Basically one-shots into Earless. And then we lose. So that's just bad placement order on my end. And I have to not do that, right? Don't troll is the best way to put that. And the next one is another. Okay, this is a Kratos comp. You know what's funny? This is how like little effort Gilby go to this high level at this level like takes. I literally chose the wrong demon soldier, brother. I meant to choose the archers. I accidentally chose the flyers, and I didn't realize it until after the fact. I was like, oh my god, like, so stupid. I literally chose the flyers. I'm stupid. I'm so dumb. But I also learned the fact that flyers don't go ahead and give Grotesque Fiend stacks, so it looks like it has to be ground units, which I don't necessarily agree with at all. I think it should be any demon soldier, but it is what it is, right? So they fly over, they go ahead, they force the Brokir shield. What's actually really funny to me, like really funny, is watching this little interaction between this lonely Grotesque Fiend and the Brokir. The reason being is because this Grotesque Fiend is doing work. Like, look, he insta double hits. He doesn't care. And then he does it again, I'm pretty sure. Like, bam. Single hit. Oh, these units die. Give him stacks. Bam. He's starting to chomp down. It's absolutely sensational, right? He goes ahead and he forces the Brokir passive. And what happens is, I'm in a perfect rotation now just to basically do the same thing, because now that I know one Grotesque Fiend with barely any stacks is able to go do it, I just drop the second Grotesque Fiend with the bugs, and this Brokir is mincemeat. Watch this. Whoop. And they all die around him. This Grotesque Fiend, he's ready for action, right? Double chomp. Dead. Goodbye, Brokir. From here, I have level 8 lightning guards as it stands right now. All I need to do is just drop both of them, and then I win. One of the biggest things to be aware of at this point in time, though, is kind of paying attention to the ultimates of Valara and Praetus. Because in my opinion, those are the two units that can kind of ruin this. So what I need is for Praetus to ult. Kind of like my number one thing. Praetus ults here, he ults the Fool. I already dropped my Lightning Guards in anticipation that Praetus is ulting and taking out the Fool. Secondly, Valara should have ultimate by time the Lightning Guards kind of get into close proximity to her. So what's going to happen is the Lightning Guard is going to snipe out the Praetus that no longer has ult. Proc Lily, snipe down. Then the next thing is they're going to snipe the Eye, who is not going to be protected by Lily. Then Valara is about to ult, visible, dead. And that's how you properly deal with that little pesk that is Valara. You just time her ultimates. And that's how we go ahead and win that one. The final one is, what is it? I think it's another Beelzebub team. I'm pretty sure. I'm like super sure it's that. So let's go and see. Let's go ahead and confirm. Final one, Balzar. Yep, it is another Beelzebub team. And this is quite literally the exact same thing that I did like in the previous attack. I'm literally just going to go ahead and drop the Fool. Beelzebub is going to ult, stick the Fool to the wall. And then the Abyssal Beholder is going to run through. Whoop, there we go. Bam. That was even better timing for me, right? Because all these units are going to die here. Bam, perfect example. Wukong targets the Beholder there. All of these units die right beside the Grotesque Fiend. And look at that. Look at that. My Fool is over here in perfect protection range. He's under no threat, really. And he just gets to go ahead and put his shields on to the Grotesque Fiend and have basically only concern of AoE Ingrid hits. I'm not that concerned about it. So we go ahead, we force the Brokir ultimate, or his passive, I should say. And we have the perfect ability to stack up another round of Grotesque Fiend right around here. The Grotesque Fiend is going to kill that clone. Then he's going to chomp down the Brokir. And here is where the win kind of culminates, right? This Grotesque Fiend might die because he's going to be stuck on the Wukong clones and the stuns. But genuinely speaking, actually no, we just go ahead and kill him. Wukong is down. Look at that. Wukong is down. And then we just go ahead and win. It's really that simple. And once again, it really all just comes down to Beelzebub. And once this Grotesque Fiend gets down, Ingrid is going to just swap modes. And we're good to win. Like at this point, we just win. Because Ingrid is stuck in that stellar form. So, yeah. Pretty easy W's. We will go ahead and take it. But yeah, GG's. Anyways, don't use Beelzebub. Please. See ya.